I will let you know in advance that I do have the grandchild this morning who was supposed to be napping and now she's not napping. So I apologize in advance if I have to deal with her in the middle.
I can relate 100%.
I knew you could. I knew you could. The nice thing is I'm not stuck with mine 24/7. All right. Let's see here. We are digging into Authentisign today. So let's get started. You should be able to see my screen. In case you didn't know how to get to Authentisign, you do it through the car library. It's part of your zip form. So you go car form, you can go the button in the middle that says transactions or transaction center. Either one works. You're gonna click on that realtor secure transactions or click on the little button on that first screen. Then we want the transaction zip form edition. You're going to hit access now. If you're not logged in, it's going to prompt you to log into your car form or your car.org website like it is me right now. And then once it's got you logged in, it's going to validate your membership and give you a yellow button to push. You know, there's a lot of steps to get into your library, but that's the reality of life. It takes a lot of steps to do anything. All right. And then we have our zip forms. So there's several signing services available to us. Authentisign happens to be the free signing platform that's available through our car forms library. A lot of people still use DocuSign, which is going to run you about $20 a month, I think, if you pay it on an annual basis. The one through zip forms used to not be very user friendly. It was hard to use. It was cumbersome. It was clunky. They have totally fixed it with Authentisign, and it's now super easy to use. As I go through this, if anybody, so that being said, two things. Number one, as I go through this, if you have any questions, feel free to just unmute yourself, interrupt me, raise your little Zoom world hand, throw something in the chat box. I've got it all up. So any of those ways you can communicate with me. But that being said, I personally no longer waste money on DocuSign. I use Authentisign. It's free. You can utilize it. And it saves you $20 a month. So there's my opinion. One's not necessarily even better than the other anymore. In fact, I may actually like Authentisign a little bit better than DocuSign now because it's got a couple of features which I'll show you today. To get into signing something, you have two different options. You can, once you're inside here, you can click the boxes of the documents that you want to sign. And then you can go into Open Forms Editor, or you can go to, oh, here, you go e-sign right here. So that's one way to do it. You just come over here and click e-sign. And again, for those that just joined us, I'm going to apologize again. I have the granddaughter today, so she might get unruly and need my attention briefly, but we'll try to keep it to a minimum. Signing name, when you go to create, when you hit that e-sign button, it's going to ask you to name it. I usually name it with the majority of what's being signed. Is it an offer? Is it a listing agreement? Is it a BRBC? Is it disclosures? Right? So whatever it is, so maybe this one's going to be the BRBC. Actually, we're just going to call it disclosures. Right? And then I already know who it's for because it's inside this file. Now, it's going to ask you default signing time. Pacific is what our time zone is. So if yours isn't that, you can update it. And then the return folder is optional. I don't specify a return folder. Okay, when you don't specify a return folder, every time you send out a signing, what we call a signing envelope, it's going to create a new folder with those documents in that folder. So it makes it really easy to find everything that was signed during that signing process. So I don't choose a folder. So I just name it with something that's going to be helpful. And then I'm going to hit create. Okay, any questions so far?
No.
Okay, fabulous. All right, it's going to open that up. We're going to give it a second. Okay, so all those boxes that I had checked, it added those documents into my signing folder. Okay. Our top box, so the navigation menu is going to be the menu on the right-hand side. The top one says signers. That's where you would add participants that were going to sign the document. So we just come down here and click add participants. And I usually go add from transaction. And that's going to pull up the list of everybody who's listed as part of that transaction. Right. So, and then I'm going to check the box for buyer 2, buyer 1, and myself, because we all have to sign. If just the buyers have to sign or just the sellers, we would just click those boxes. If you are the only one signing, you just click your box. If you need to add somebody else, hold on, we're going to hit select on those. Okay, if we need to add somebody else, we just click add participants and we can hit add new, and that's going to add somebody not from the transaction. You can hit add yourself, or if you hit add from contacts, it's going to search your zip forms contacts of people that you have saved in there. So those are your options there. For the most part, you're going to go add from transaction or add new if you haven't added them to the transaction yet. Once you get this screen here, see how they all have little color-coded boxes next to them? That means they've been added to the transaction, okay? And just like DocuSign or any other signing, they assign each person.
Hey, I couldn't find anything, bro.
They assign each person an individual color to make it easy when you scroll through to see whose signatures have been assigned to each page. It also is really smart, and it will automatically, because I pulled these forms from the Car Forms library, it automatically assigned the signatures to the appropriate lines on those documents. Now, the other thing that Authentisign will do is if I add documents to it and it recognizes the documents, it'll add signatures to that as well. So I'll show you that here in a minute. This top button up here on signers is the signing order. For the most part, I leave this off or toggled to the left, which is off. If I click it, it's going to toggle it to the right and put everybody in order, which means that in this instance, I'm going to get an email first to go sign. Once I'm signed, then buyer 2 is going to get an email to sign. And then once they've signed, buyer 3 is going to get an email to sign. If I have this off, the second I hit next and hit send, it's going to send it to all the people at the same time, and everybody can sign those documents at the same time. Generally speaking, I use the set signing order off, and I only toggle it on if I've got clients that are using the same email address for 2 people to sign the documents, right? Sometimes husbands and wife use the same email address. So if that was the same, I would set it to signing order. And the reason that I do that then, and I usually set myself to first. So as soon as I hit sign or send, I can go in there and sign it myself, and then it goes to them. The reason I do that, if it's the same email, is what happens is buyer 2 is going to get notified that they need to sign some documents. They're going to sign them. Once they finish signing, then it's going to go to buyer 1 in this order. And buyer 1 is then going to get another email. Okay, so that's why I like the signing order. Hold on just a second. Oh, what just happened? Come back. All right. If you don't set the signing order when you have 2 people using the same email, what happens is they both get their email once you send the package out, and it kind of gets confusing and they don't realize there's 2 that need to be signed. Okay, so that's the purpose there. Otherwise, I just toggle it off if everybody has different emails, and everybody can sign whenever they have access to it. The other thing that you can do is we can come down here and hit add participants. I can go add new. I can go buyer 3 is what we're going to call this buyer. And we're going to go email is buyer 3@gmail.com. And then here we can assign the role to them, or we don't have to assign the role. We can say, hey, they're just a reviewer, or they just get a CC. So, right. So sometimes what happens is we have buyers or sellers that maybe we only have one person signing, but other people want to be able to review those documents with them, right? Sometimes the husband and wife, especially we see this on VA loans a lot. that just the husband's on the loan initially, not the wife. And so the husband's doing all the signing, but the wife still wants to see the documents. She's still involved in that purchase, even though she's not on the purchase agreement. So this allows you to put her as a reviewer, and then she would get an email notification that she could log in there and review those documents. Okay, so that's how you would add a reviewer. Or maybe you want to automatically have this package sent to the listing agent or to your transaction coordinator once it's done. So you could do that as well by, instead of reviewer, that would be a CC. So if somebody's listed as CC, once all the documents are signed, they will get a copy of those documents. Okay, so those are the different types of signers that you can assign somebody. They're in that signers tab. So either they're going to be a remote signer, a reviewer, or a CC. So either they're going to be able to review the documents in the process of signing, they're going to be able to sign those documents, or they're just going to get a copy of them once they're done. Okay. The other thing that you can do in here is maybe somebody's email is incorrect or their name's incorrect, or we need to change something. All you have to do is just, I'm going to close that out. Oh, go back to signers. Let's say buyer 2 is wrong. If we just click on their name, it's going to pop up their information here on this list, and you can update their email address. You can change the type of signer they are. You can remove them from signing. So that's how you can remove somebody as well. If you're updating their email address because you typed it in wrong on your transaction, then if you click this button here, this update transaction contact, when you update their email here, it's going to update it in your zip form. So every time in the future, when you pull it up, it'll have the correct email address instead of the wrong one that you entered in initially. Okay. Anybody have questions there on how to assign signers and the options that you have available to you in Authentisign with signers? All right. The other thing that you can do is if the signature blocks haven't been assigned down here and you're not seeing them show up, this map signers button will allow you go in there and make sure you've got them assigned to who they are, who's the buyer 2, who's the selling agent. You update those and hit assign signature blocks, and then it will pop those signature blocks onto that document. Okay, so that's what that map signers button is. That's to put the signatures automatically to look for places to put those. Okay, the next button that we have underneath signers is documents. Those are the documents that are part of the signing envelope. So in this one, I've got buyer representation, market conditions, and statewide buyer and seller advisory. We can reorder these. So this is the order they're going to get them to sign. If we wanted to reorder, we just click the 6 little dots, click and hold, and drag it up to where you want it in place, and it'll reorder those documents for you. Okay, so super easy to reorder. The other way here is that you could say, hey, this is going to be 2, right? This is going to be 3, and then it'll reorder those documents for you. If you want to add a document, we just click this blue add a document form. This allows you to add them from the transaction itself. So it goes back into your zip forms transaction and says, hey, here's all the documents that are added. They have green check marks. Here are the ones that are available to add. We just click the little add button. So maybe we want the wildfire disaster advisory. We just click add. It's going to add it in there. The other option is we can hit upload and import, right? And that would allow us to add documents from our computer. So you could go in there. So maybe we want let's see here, pick a good one. We're going to hit a contingency removal in here from my computer. So maybe, right, we made an offer, sent it over. Now they've sent us a counter offer back. We can come in here and create a signing folder, add that counter offer in here and send it out for signatures. Okay, so I added the buyer contingency removal in here. It's in the last place. It probably would have been easier to add it to the top to scroll down. It's working on adding that. So that's how you add that form in there. And again, you can reorder those. So maybe I want it up at the top. Okay, so that's documents. That's how you add documents. That's how you reorder the documents. You can remove the file. So I just clicked on the little arrow here. That's going to allow you to rename that document. So anytime we want to make changes to something, we would just click on it. We can remove the file. We can replace it with something else. Maybe you grabbed the wrong one. You can map the signers on it, right? You can, this is the layout. So this is saying, hey, this is automatically going to block it. So maybe it didn't recognize which document this was. So let's go, hold on, let's come up here. Oops, hold on. I hit the little X. Let's go buyer contingency removal. And it's saying, hey, what layout is this? We're going to delete this. And I'm going to say it's the contingency. Let's go see if it would pull it up. Buyer. Nope, it's not allowing me to. So if it's in its library as one of its regular forms, you can come in here and find it if it didn't recognize it initially. And you can select it. So like if I was going to say, you know, this could have been a buyer representation. It could have been A1, right? Buyer financial. I probably could find it in here if I search hard enough, or maybe not. So maybe I'm saying, hey, this is the seller's payment to buyer's broker, and then I'd hit map signers. It would automatically add the signature blocks for me to that document. So if you've got one that you've uploaded from a PDF that matches one of the ones in your forms library, it'll automatically map those for you so you don't have to drag and drop signature blocks. So that's how you would do that. The other thing that you can do is I'm going to go back to this other document. Is see here, we've got different pages of this document. Maybe I only want one page assigned to it. We can come in here and you can delete pages. You can rotate pages. So if you want things thrown out, you can do that as well. Okay, so that's how you navigate through the documents menu option. Any questions about that? All right, heading down to the next option. We have our tools button. That's where we're going to find all of our signing options. So once we hit tools, notice it's all yellow. So everything is associated with me, who is the yellow signer. Let's pop back up to one that's got all the signatures on it. Here we go. So see, I'm yellow. So everything's yellow. So anything that I add over here now. So if I'm like, oh, I want to add a signature block, I just click and drag it over wherever I want it and let go. It's going to automatically put my signature block with the month and date there. Okay. If I want to change this, right? I'm like, oh man, that wasn't supposed to be mine. I don't have to delete it. All I have to do is come over here and say, hey, instead of Amy, we want to assign this to buyer 2. And now it's assigned that and the associated date block to buyer 2. So it's really easy to navigate and change it. We can change the size of it here by hitting the scale button, or we can go back and hit reset. You can also click on the little one of the 4 corners. Hold on. We can click on one of the 4 corners, click and drag to adjust the scale as well. The date, you can click on that and move it around to a different spot. So if you want it instead of next to the signature block, you want it over on the date line, you can do that as well. This box makes it required, this little toggle here. The next one is going to add a name block underneath that signature block. So that's the easy way to do that. Hold on, she's getting unruly. If you didn't want the date on there, we could just toggle the date off. And if you wanted the time, we can toggle the time on, so it'll date and time it. Okay, once you have this set, if you're like, that's what I want it to do every time I drag a signature block over, you would hit save as default settings, and then it would update your default to always have the signature and the date. Okay. So that's how you toggle between. That's how we added the signature block. That's how you change, you know, the name on that signature block. The other options that you have besides signature, which is the sign here, would be initials. So, right, so that puts initials on it. You can add text. Keep in mind, if we add this text, it's going to prompt that signer to input text. Okay, and again, it says required here. If we didn't want it to be required, if we just click on that, we can toggle the required off, and then it becomes an optional line. Okay. In addition to that, we have initial choice, right? So it gives you some initials between 2 options, choice 1 and 2. This gives us a drop down option where they would select from some options, and then you would have to define your options here separated with new lines. So you'd put like option 1, option 2, option 3. Default option is going to be option 1. Right, so now on this drop down, it would give them those options when they put it in there, and you may want to put like, this would be, pick 1 or something to that effect, right? And that's going to show up for them when they go to sign. We have radial choice here. That's going to add that little dot that can be filled in one or the other. Okay. And then this initial, okay, we're going to come back to initial pages here in just a minute, because this is like the coolest thing that you'll ever find. Down here on the signers fields, this is like, hey, if I just want their name, maybe, you know, it says name and their name's not there. We can just hit name and add it onto that document. Here's where it would add their email address to the document just by clicking on it. We can add a date to the document on whatever date it's signed. It's going to auto populate that date, but it's not connected to any of the signers. And auto time, that one's going to add the time. Again, not connected to any signers specifically. It's just going to put when they log in, it's going to put the date and time on there. Down here at the bottom, this markup section, this is like, hey, if you want to add a text box because you want to add that, whatever, we just click on the text box, we click on the document, you're going to put enter text here. That's not going to be signer specific. That's going to be for everybody's going to be able to see that text. So if you wanted to update it, maybe you got the offer back and they didn't input your information on the offers, you're sending it out for signatures for acceptance. That would allow you then to fill in all those lines on like the signature lines, where our address needs to go on the purchase agreement or things like that. Maybe they missed your email or a phone number, maybe who knows what you may want to put on there. Okay, maybe you missed an address, who knows? You can put a text box on there. Here you can change the font size, the color, the font family, and how it's aligned inside of that text box. You can also make it bold, italic, or transparent background. Okay, so that's the text markup. We also have highlight. So if there's something you wanted to highlight, you just click on that, and then it allows you to take that highlighter and highlight that line so that it would draw their attention to it. So that's the highlight button. And again, that's going to show up for all the signers then. Okay. And then the last one there that you have is the ellipse, which is you can draw a circle. Okay. There's your ellipse. What color? Black, yellow, right? So if you needed to circle a choice on something, that's how you could do that, is with the ellipse. Sometimes you have to like select one. That would allow you to do it. And you can change the color of it over here. Okay. The last options that you have are, hold on. Oh, let me see if I can get her out of the camera view. There we go. All right. The last options that you have here is this initial pages. I think this is the coolest thing that you will ever encounter. You click that initial pages, it's going to ask you options. Do you want large, medium, or small? Do you want it left, center, or right? Right? So on the page, do you want it on the left side of the page, the center of the page, or the right side of the page? And then the next one is, do you want it on the top of the document or the bottom of the document? Okay. Then once you select, so I'm going to want medium initials on the left. Now I want it on the right side of the document at the bottom. And I want it to be both for buyer 1 and buyer 2. Maybe I'm having them initial all the pages on a report or an inspection or something to that effect. Here's where you're going to choose like the document. And do you want it just on all 13 pages or just the first page, right? So I could have all of my inspections uploaded into here. I could select each inspection. I can come down here and put, hey, on the page range, I just want the first page of each inspection initialed on the right-hand side of the bottom of the first page. I select who needs to initial those, and then I just hit place initials, And see, it added initials to the left side of the bottom of the document for both the buyers. I didn't have to go in there and draw each individual initial over. Saved me so much time. I think this is one of the coolest features in Authentisign. I don't think DocuSign has that option, but I think it's cool. Okay, so those are kind of your options there under signing tools. Again, we can toggle between, if it's time for buyer 2 signatures, we just toggle over there, and now everything we assign is going to be blue for buyer 2. Any questions about the tools tab? All right, those are really the only 3 things I mess with on Authentisign, are those 3 items right there. The other options that you have is layouts. This is layout option for pre-placed signing fields and markups to your documents. So you can apply layouts, create layouts, or manage layouts. So this is where you could actually go in and make sure that you have layouts set up for like the Solano County Regional Disclosure and Disclaimer Advisory. You could create a layout in here for that, and then you could apply that layout to the document. And then it'll automatically throw those signatures on that last page for you. So there's, if you have documents like that you're constantly uploading, you could create and then apply those types of layouts here. This would kind of be like a templates, like signature templates. Okay. The other thing that we have here is we have our options. Okay, so you might want to come in here and mess with that just a little bit to see what you've got going on. And you can change the Authentisign ID position. You can change how often the reminders go out, like do not send a reminder or send a reminder every 1 day at 9 a.m. Then that's going to set up those defaults for the reminders for signature things that you sent out. How often does this expire? The signing packet expires on the 20th.
Wait, Amy, how do you set the reminders again?
Yeah, so here in options. So if you go down to options, we just go to reminders, and then that's how you can set up that reminder.
Oh, okay, thanks.
It's going to give you a second option to change this in the future as well. Okay. So you've got expiration date, signing details. This is where you could change the name. So if you forgot to name the packet, you can come back in here and rename it. Okay. Or you can create your signature in here as well. So it will show up. Okay. That's under change signature. Okay, so those are your options. There are all the options under options. So that's kind of your toolbar for this. You've got signers, docs, tools, layouts, and options. Once you've assigned all your signature blocks where you want them, all you're going to do is come up here and hit next. And it's not going to send it out. It's going to prepare to send it out for you. There's a lot of stuff on here, so it's processing. All right, here's the finalize. This is the expiration and the reminder. So again, it's going to give you the option right before you send it out to change the expiration date and to change how often they get reminders. You can and then from here, you can either hit send, which that email is going to go out to whoever is first in the signing order, if there was a signing order, or it's going to go out to everybody all at the same time. With the default just signature thing, and I'll show you what that looks like, or default email, and I'll show you what that looks like here in a minute. The other option is you can hit customize invites here, and that's going to allow you to create a different message for each person. So you've got to go in there. It's got the, signer 1, the email subject, you need to put it in there and then put in a message. Then you do the same thing for buyer 2 and buyer 1. So you've got to go in there and update it, or we can hit cancel and it'll go back to the default. But if we customize those invites, we're going to put something in each one and then hit that save button. Okay, any questions about that? All right, once we hit send, it's going to send that out for signatures, and it's going to take you back to your zip forms library. I'll show you how to go in there and edit a package now in case there was an error or you want to send out a reminder or see who's signed. All right, so here it's taking me back to this transaction. I'm going to come up here on the gray toolbar and see where it says e-sign. We're going to click there. Okay, so here's that signing packet I just sent out. The name of it's called Disclosures. It was modified just now. It was created 25 minutes ago, and there's 3 participants. If I click on this little down arrow for more options, here I can resend the invitation. So if you got somebody that's like, I didn't see it come through, you just come in here, you hit resend. It's going to send out another notification for signing. You can duplicate the signing package. I don't know why you would want to do that, but it can be done. Or we can go into signing details. And if we go into signing details, it will show us who has logged in and who has signed. So if they have opened the folder, it'll say authenticated. And if they have signed the folder, it'll say approved. And that means they have completed signing. Okay, so that's how to verify that. If you realize that, oh my gosh, I totally messed up and I put in the wrong email, from here, we can come in and hit the little edit button and you can edit their email and update it. So you can change the email. So if they're having problems getting it on like their one email, you can change it to another email. Okay, once you've changed it, we just hit the save button or we hit the don't save button. You've got those 2 options there from that window. Okay, the other thing that you can do, which was our options, is that we can, and I could have accessed it from that window, we can reset. So if we need to make changes to the document or we missed a signature or something, once the signing has started, you're not going to be able to change it. You'll have to delete the folder, which is, this is how you would do that as well. So to make any changes or delete the signing folder, we're going to hit the reset button. This is the most confusing part of this program. They should change it. So you're going to hit reset and it's going to say, hey, all signed documents will be lost if you continue. It's just saying, hey, if somebody already signed, it's going to be gone. Do you want to continue? We're going to hit yes. That's going to reopen that signing packet for us back to the editing portion where we started so that we can make any changes that we wanted to. We could be like, oh my gosh, I totally forgot to add their signatures on here. So I can come down to tools. I can hit sign here, right? So you can do all that. Now, if I want to delete the file, instead of hitting next and resending this out for signatures, I'm going to hit back. Okay. That's going to take me back to the front of Zip Forms. Right, give it a minute. Okay, so this takes us back here. If we go back and click this e-sign button on the gray toolbar, it's going to take us back to that folder. And now in that folder, instead of saying sent or that envelope, instead of saying sent, it's now going to say draft because we didn't send it back out once I hit the reset button. Once it's in the draft format, I'm going to have the option here. Oops, I accidentally clicked on it. Hold on. Let me hit back again. All right, back to e-sign. Sorry about that. It shows as draft. All right, then if we click the little blue drop down, now we have the option to delete this package. So if you wanted to delete it, you made an error, you got to resend out the new package, you forgot a document, you sent the wrong document, they're making changes to it. They said, hey, instead of a 30-day close, we want a 21-day close, right? So you're making changes to the documents. You would just come in here, hit the reset button, hit the back button, and then you're going to hit that delete button, which is going to make that signing package go away. Okay. If you made the changes that you wanted and then you wanted to resend it out, we would just hit that edit signing, would take us back into the edit window. We can add those signature blocks or add that document in, switch documents out, and then we could hit that next button and resend it back out. Okay. Any questions? Yeah.
If you want to cancel a signing, how do you do is that how you do it?
Yep, you hit the reset button, which is going to pull it back into the draft state. You can either leave it there in draft, which they won't have access to it anymore, or you can actually come back in then and hit delete once you hit that reset button.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. I'm going to hit edit signing. I'm going to send this back out for signatures because then I'll show you what it looks like on the client's side of point of view. Okay, we're going to hit next. I'm going to hit send. So, right. So I just went in there like I was going to edit it, hit the next. Now I'm sending it out. All right. Now I'm going to open up my email. The other way to get into the editing, so we went from just the documents tab in our zip forms library. I selected the documents that I wanted to sign and clicked e-sign from that main screen. If we were editing the document, let's say we were creating our purchase agreement, we entered all the information into the grid that we wanted. Now we're ready to send it out for signatures. There's an option inside of the zip forms editor where you just say prepare for signing. You click that, it's going to take those documents, everything that's in that signing packet for zip forms, and take it over, prepare it for signing. Okay, so you can get to that same window that way. You don't have to close out of the editor and then reopen it in e-sign. We can just go straight from the editor to signing. All right, hold on, I'm just waiting for my email to open. It's thinking hard. All right. Here is that email. So let's find the email that it sent me because I think I sent it to a legit email address. There we go. So, yep. Does somebody have a question? All right. So here in my email, it says my signature is requested. So if I click on that, it's going to open. So this is what your clients would see. Hello, whoever, it would say your name is inviting you to participate as a signer in Authentisign e-signature document signing. Signing name is disclosure, so they do see that signing name. Start signing, right? We just click the little button. It's going to take them to the next window. Okay, participant acknowledgement, they're going to hit accept, and then they would hit start, and they can do this on their phone, and it's just going to walk them through everything that they had an option to do. It's going to make them make choices and sign and go to the next. They can reject as well. Okay, so that's what they have the options to do there inside of the signing. Oh, I suppose, hold on, let's here. Oh, because apparently I added my initial on several pages. It tells them how far along they are. Oh, I had to select an option. Let's see what's next. Oh, I think I have to put text. I don't know why it's prompting me for 2 signatures and then blocking. Let's hit reject. Confirm. Oh, there we go. They can reject it as well. All right, there, my signing's been rejected. It'll kick it back to them and I'll be like, oh, what was wrong? And then you can go in there and fix it. Okay, so now if I go back into here and I go into eSign on the gray toolbar, it's going to show rejected because one of the parties rejected it. And then I can go into signing details. And then it'll show me who rejected it. Yeah, who had the question? Anybody? All right, so that's kind of how you navigate through Authentisign. Those are kind of your options, how you assign the signature blocks, initial all the pages, how you go in there and edit it. There's kind of all of your options. It'll show it all here. If I'll show you what it looks like once it's completed. So let me go back to my transactions. So once it's completed, the signatures, everybody's completed their signatures, what it's going to do is it's going to create a folder for you inside of your transactions. Ignore. Hold on, it's going to like ask me 4 questions. There we go. All right. Then if we go to the documents tab inside of one that already has a signature. It's asking me so many questions today. It's going to create this folder here for it. So this one was called like Donaldson offer. So that was the original one. This was the counter offer. And if I click on that folder, it's going to have all the signed documents that went out in that folder. So that's one way to access those signed documents once they're done. And that's one of the reasons that I don't assign it a folder when it asks me to, is it just creates its own so that each signature envelope that goes out has its own folder inside of my zip forms library. Okay, so that makes it really easy to access it. The other thing that happens is just like any other signing, it's going to keep me updated here. So when it's got all the signatures are done, it will say like signing complete, counter offer, right? So that was one of those folders. And then it attaches those all as PDFs to that email. So here I've got the signing complete. I can access them by clicking on the links. I can access the certificates that authenticates that they were signed and who they were signed by. And then it's got the PDFs at the bottom of the document. So that's what happens once the signing is completed. It will also keep you updated. So here it says like signing updated. And that's just saying, hey, somebody else has accepted, this person has signed the document and completed their signing process. So it will keep you updated as the agent along the process as each person opens it and signs it. And then once it's completed, when it's completed, you're going to get 2 emails. The first one's just going to say signing's completed and give you the access to download those documents, but it's not going to have the PDFs. You'll get a second email that has the PDFs on it. So if you wait just a few more seconds, that second email will come through with the completed documents in there that you can just forward on to whoever needs to get them. All right. Any questions about Authentisign? How to utilize it? Anything I covered? We're all good? All right, fabulous. I appreciate you guys all hopping on today. Like I said, Authentisign, it's free. It's offered through zip forms. It's as easy to use now as DocuSign, so I highly recommend it. The only difference is that I haven't found like an app where I can log into it on my phone and check on those signature packets without logging into zip forms. But this is how you get in there and manage it and edit it and check on things. So there you go. Hope you guys found this useful. I'm working on the new schedule. So there is in the chat box, you'll see a link for suggested trainings. So you can throw any suggestions that you'd like to see on the September, October, November training calendar. December, there's not going to be a regular training calendar, but I'll be running my normal like 12 days of something training in December. So if you have ideas of what you'd like to see there, let me know. Otherwise, that's kind of how we're going to roll. into the end of the year. Be looking for as well in October, we're going to have business planning. So be looking for that business planning training to come up in October so that you can set yourself up for success in 2025 and set apart your business planning. We'll also probably be covering the 12-week year as well. So hope you guys enjoyed it. I will see you all next week.
Thank you, Amy.
You are welcome.
Thank you, Amy.
Absolutely.
And pay that baby some overtime for sitting in on this meeting.
Yeah, she's shutting down for a nap, so she should pay me overtime.
There you go. Bye-bye.